Welcome to the Unveiling Shadows podcast. I'm your host, Kimberly Mosby. Join me as I dive into powerful stories of resilience and strength. In each episode, I sit down with guests who have faced similar journeys of coercive control, financial manipulation, and personal invasion. Together, we uncover the shadows, share our experiences, and inspire others to reclaim their lives. Tune in, listen, and be a part of the community that stands tall against the forces that seek to control us. Good afternoon, and welcome to Unveiling Shadows podcast. I'm your host, Kimberly Mosby, and today we are joined by David Atkins, a courageous Alabama native whose life took a drastic turn in 2011 when his targeting began. From organized stalking and the psychological manipulation to betrayal by those closest to him, David has endured unimaginable challenges, including direct energy weapons and voice-to-skull technology. Despite it all, he's channeled his experience into raising awareness through his YouTube channel, offering hope and insight to others. David, thank you for being here and sharing your journey with us. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Really appreciate it. And thanks for getting the word out. The more people, the better.
Yeah, absolutely. So can you briefly introduce yourself and share a little bit about your background and when you discovered your situation?
Well, my name's David. I'm from Alabama, and I was working for Bank of America, doing foreclosed homes, like winterizing, mowing yards and stuff. And everywhere I went, I noticed like the boss would give me a credit card, 15 places to go all over Middle Tennessee at the time where I was living. And so I would go to these different houses and I'd have addresses and stuff. Well, I would stop at the gas station first and get gassed up because my boss never gassed it up for me. So it always needed gas when I turned the van in. When I would go to the gas station, there'd be 4 cars waiting on me. And I mean, I was freaking out. I was like, so these 4 cars waited on me, and I'm like, I'm not thinking nothing of it. I pull off. They followed me all around my stops to Middle Tennessee. When I would stop and mow a yard or winterize a house, they would bust blocks. If it was a dead end, the same 4 cars in a row. It was like going to a funeral procession or something, So I started freaking out. I called my boss. I said, look, there's 4 cars following me everywhere. And he's like, David, you got to be tripping, man. He's like, just get the job done and come home. So, like, every stop I made, I'd be mowing the yard. Then sometimes they would do their things on their neck. And then if I called my girlfriend, if I stopped at a gas station or called my girlfriend or called my boss or anything, they would always come by with some loud noise music, pull up right next to me, blasting music, revving up their engines, just trying to make it where I couldn't, as long as I was on the phone, they were trying to make it where I couldn't talk to nobody.
Mm-hmm.
They would also end my calls. I'd be in the middle of telling her, look, I'm getting followed, all that. What happened in that situation is I ended up, one night, I was followed back. I had to go drop her daughter off at her grandmother's house, which was an hour away, and I dropped her off, and I'm on my way back, and these cars start, like, chasing me, and the dude really shot out of the air. It was nighttime. Dude shot into the air out of his car, one of the cars, so I called the police. The police put me in the mental ward. It cost me $200 to get my car out of impound. They wouldn't let me leave my car at McDonald's for Jessica to pick me up. I mean, just crazy stuff. Well, I want to fast forward because the story's a little long, but I start working for a chicken plant a couple of years later. I'd been there 2 years. I was getting workplace mob. There's this job called popping bones where you got 3 rounds, you got to pop bones. Well, it causes carpal tunnel if you do it 3 rounds in a row every day for 8 hours.
Yeah.
All of the bosses made me do it for 3 hours. OSHA standards said you're only supposed to do it 1 round. So I got carpal tunnel and got FMLA. Well, they start calling me to HR saying, well, David, if you press this issue of us making you pop bones 3 rounds, we're going to make your life difficult. Well, I got them on recording saying that. One day they came to me and said, David, you need to go to HR. And I was like, all right, I'll go to HR, my union rep. And they said, no, you're fired. So they fired me. I clocked out and called a lawyer. And the lawyer's like, well, if you win your unemployment case, I'll take the case. I won my unemployment case. So during this time after I'm off, every day when I would come home from work, after they knew that I had them nailed at work, my trailer door would be wide open. One day my computer was missing for 2 weeks, and then it showed up in the same spot. Me and my handler, she was my wife, she was my handler. We looked everywhere, and then she's like, David, we probably didn't look at that spot. I noticed knocking on our bedroom window at night at 2 a.m. So I went and got boards and screwed them in. And, a trailer's got windows like that. Well, I had boards at the top of where you could see through the windows, but you ain't getting in the window. So I
Yeah.
put all the windows up. She's not worried about nothing. And I'm noticing that. And I'm keeping it in mind. So to make a long story short, I get the lawsuit. I got my unemployment. I go file a lawsuit. They made my life teetotal hell after I filed that lawsuit.
Yep.
Yeah. I forgot what it was for. Equal opportunity, something anyway. Workplace bullying and stuff. They targeted me so hard. I was so paranoid, so messed up. I couldn't keep up with my lawyer. I don't even know what happened to the lawsuit. Me and my wife moved to Iowa. And we ended up, we were settled in a place for a minute, and I just kept getting targeted and targeted. One day we went to work for a carnival out of all places, and I didn't really want to work there, but I'm like, well, it keeps us on the move. That's how it was. I went from working at a plant to wanting to work at a carnival. Anybody that knows anything about the carnival, it's a lousy job. It was the best carnival you could work for. I think it was Pride Amusements, but anyway, so we go work there. I'm getting perked there. They're making noise campaigns. They're making fun of me. The manager said, "Oh, I heard loud noises. Y'all need to keep it down." Just totally picking on me. My wife's flirting with different people. And so anyway, so we broke down. Our timing belt came off because of a water pump failure. Bearing was off. I didn't have a 2-inch wrench. So this dude just showed up out of nowhere with a 2-inch wrench, and him and my handler, my wife, I call her my handler.
Yep, I know.
They're on each other the whole time. So when we get on, he helps me fix it. I offer him money. He's like, "No, I don't want no money." He said the best direction to go in is this and this and this. I think Interstate 80 or somewhere. We were in Council Bluffs. We were trying to go back the other way. And so I'm on the highway and she's driving, and I'm not proud of this at all. 5 cars come in the front of us and 5 in the back. She pulls over on the interstate. It's a Sunday, so sometimes the interstates in Iowa are not packed at all. She pulled over in the middle of these cars, and all these people start running up to the car on my side. So I had to, I tripped out and pulled a weapon and pointed it at her. I'm not proud of that at all, but I tell that story like it ain't nothing because I was not in the wrong. I told her, "You got to pull off now." Yeah, I said now. So after that, they put me in jail for it. And listen what happened. They ended up letting me out 2 days later. Charges dropped. The lawyer's like, "Oh, they said they don't want you in jail." They let me out on and you can look this up. It happened in Tama County. Going armed with intent, possession of a firearm, and some domestic dispute. And I get let out in 2 days, no bond or nothing, because I'm a target. They cannot do nothing to me I can hold my own in jail. They can't do nothing to me in jail.
Yeah, you didn't know that at the time, though, that this happened,
no,
right?
I didn't know nothing about targeting.
Okay.
So I'm going to fast forward to 2000. Well, I'm going to tell some stories. So anyway, I'm getting targeted. I got back with her, but I'm staying in I got out of jail. I went back to the town she was in because this dude said, "All right, this dude came and visited me in jail out of the blue. He's like, when you get out, you can call me and I'll come get you and make sure you get to a safe place." Well, he comes and gets me and he says, "All right, I got a motel for you." I said, "Does it have a phone where I can find somewhere and try to get somewhere?" "Oh, no, there's no phone." I said, "Well, I'm not staying in that motel." I don't know nothing about it. So he's like, "All right, I'll buy you a bus ticket." So he gives me money for a bus ticket and drops me off at the McDonald's to catch the bus. I'm on the bus, and then I stop in Des Moines, and then I call her, and she's like, "Well, come to Ames, Iowa. I'll give you my phone," which they gave her my phone and half my money when I got arrested. I went, needless to say, I was dumb. The whole time I went, she had a friend named Jennifer, which is the one I hear laughing in my B2K sometimes, of which I'll get to that in a minute. But so her friend Jennifer was behind her back the whole time saying, "David, she's no good. She's doing nothing but making you paranoid, trying to ruin your life. You need to leave her." She's doing that behind her own friend's supposed back. She said, "I can't stand what she's doing to you." And she's like, she's got everybody in on it. So I was like, okay, so we seen each other every now and then, but we wasn't seeing each other much, but we lived in the same city. I ended up leaving that city and went to Des Moines, Iowa. I started getting followed around by all these cars again, everywhere I go, all the way downtown Des Moines. And it's really, really tripping me out because everywhere I go, I'm getting followed. Every time I try to make phone calls, important phone calls, they're clicking, hanging my phone up.
That was your sensitivity campaign, basically.
Yeah. So I was really, really, really suicidal. I took a bunch of pills and like Haldol and something else, like a bunch of them. I was in the parking garage. I said, all right, I'm tired of this. I'm ready to go on. It can't be no worse in hell than this because I'm getting harassed more. I mean, there was one instance when I'm so harassed, I'm thinking these people are plotting to kill me because they're going in droves and they're so organized. You know, when one leads off, two more comes. So this girl gets dropped off. I see her get dropped off. It's 2 a.m. I'll never forget this girl. I don't know who she is to this day. She's trying to get in her apartment complex, right? I go up to her. I'm so distressed. I said, can I stay with you for the night? I said, I swear to God, I'm not a bad person. I need somewhere to stay safe. I'm freaking out. And she ended up saying, yeah. So she lets me stay in her apartment all night. And in the morning, I was like, see, there was no problems. She's like, yeah, I see that. So I got some rest that night. Later on, the next night, I would end up going in the parking garage, taking a bunch of pills, and walking around till I died. I wake up 5 days later from a coma, and doctor tells me I've been in a coma 5 days. I ripped my catheter out. I was freaking out, and the doctor's like, "You've been in there 5 days. You got pneumonia." Everybody keeps walking past my hospital room, looking at me, and I'm like, "How do these people keep walking back and forth? These look like regular people." So I checked myself out AMA right when, like 2 hours after I came out of my coma. And they also said David, you were almost brain dead. Your dad's an hour away to come pull the plug. I was like, well, if he wants to pull the plug that easy, I don't even want to see him. I left. Because, my family, I thought were participating in it, but not all of them. And I don't really think my dad is now looking back on it. But at the time, I thought I was freaking out so bad.
Yeah.
I mean, they had me so paranoid, like, I remember one time when it first started, I was driving in Tennessee. I start trying to get away from all these cars. I'm start freaking out so bad. I'm not even paying attention to where I'm turning. I'm just driving.
Yeah.
So 2 hours later, I'm in Alabama. So I'm like, wow, how did I get to Alabama? Stuff like that. So let me fast forward to the B2K. I got with my wife again, and she would throw stuff. I would barricade the doors, and she would throw all the stuff away. And she said, David, you cannot barricade the doors. It's a fire hazard. They're coming to get you anyway. It's not going to be long. She would say stuff like that. So sometimes we'd spend 30 minutes. I'd put all the furniture in front of the doors. She'd pull it all off, start ripping it off, screaming at me. So one day she said, all right, that's it. I'm going to get this dude to come over here and take care of you once and for all. So I cut my throat. I had 17 staples, 17 stitches, and a blood transfusion. She wakes up next to me, and I said, what do you? Well, they had to take the life support off of me. And then I was like, what are you doing here? I don't even want you near me, trying to play nice to me. You're the one that pushed me to this. So she ends up, I was happy that day because the hospital put her in check. She tried to stay with me another night, and the hospital put her in check. So I get out. I ended up going to stay with this friend, and I was so freaked out I couldn't trust nobody. So my friend says, come with me to Houston. I got to take my nephew out, and you can come with my nephew, and we can go to water parks and stuff, and just relax, man. Get away from all this. And I really don't think he had nothing to do with it. So I'm in his son's house at night, and I start freaking out. I'm getting text on the phone with smiley faces. You're going to die at the water park tomorrow. You're going to die at the water park tomorrow. So I cut my wrist in his house, in his room. There's blood everywhere. He had to replace the carpet. I got 14 stitches in my wrist and another blood transfusion. I fell out, and I woke up in the hospital. Well, they let me go. They didn't even put me in a mental hospital. They stitched it up and let me go. They wanted me free.
Really?
Yeah.
No, they put you in a mental institution, taking you from McDonald's, but they didn't put you in a mental institution for trying to slit your wrist.
Right. And that happened in Houston. No lie. I'm not lying about none of this.
Well, I know you're not. Unfortunately, they didn't get me to do that, but I have mild V2K, or did. They've since stopped some of it, but I understand how they can lead a person to unalive themselves.
Right. Well, I need to say that from now on, don't I? Which they never, in my YouTube channel, they really don't do nothing for saying that. But anyway, so I was really embarrassed because dude had to replace his carpet and didn't understand nothing that went on. But anyway, we're going to fast forward a few months later. I was on a bus. These two people sat next to me. I get on a bus in Des Moines, Iowa, going to Mississippi because my mom said, all right, you can come stay with me. So I get on a bus going to Mississippi. I'm in I'm on my way to Kansas City, Missouri, and I always sit in the back. Well, I go sit in the back of the bus, and two people came and sat next to me and said, the next stop, you're getting off with us, and you're going with us everywhere we go. You're now ours. So I'm sitting there thinking, and he shows me a gun, and I'm like, wow. I said, what do I do? So, you get a gut feeling. I'm a
Yeah.
very spiritual person. My gut feeling said, David, play it off. Act happy, act like you're scared to death, act like you're going along and would never dare cross them for 30 minutes, then ask to use the bathroom. I swear a voice told me this, and I've done that. And then when I'm in the bathroom, something told me, when you get done peeing, you grab that door and hold it. The bus driver, everybody was in on this. So I grabbed the door, hold it, and they're pulling on the door. All of a sudden, I'm looking out the top of the window in the bathroom. I see blue lights, and I notice we stopped. So the bus driver's in on it. He thinks I called the police, and they're stopping him. But really, they got somebody else stopped. So when they stopped, no joke, I walked straight up to the front of the bus. There's a nun right there. I sat next to that nun. I got off in Kansas City. I had to pay $20 to reinstate my ticket. So next day, we're in Springfield, Missouri. I'm getting ready to get on the bus in Springfield, Missouri. The same two guys go to get on the bus. So I don't get on the bus. So I was trying to check into motels, and this is when my B2K and direct energy weapons started. And this was around the time of Jade Helm. I know you know about Jade Helm. Yeah, so I tried to check into like 6 different motels. So oh yeah, we got rooms. Boom, they would get a call. David, we can't check you in, man. Our rooms are full. I said, but you just said you had rooms. He said, sorry, man. So I'm walking out of the Hampton Inn. I'll never forget, in Springfield, Missouri, right off the interstate down the road from the bus station. I hear my wife's voice and her friend Jennifer. He don't know what to do. Look at him. He's just so confused. He can't even get in a motel. He's confused. He don't know what to do. Look at how scared he is. So I start looking around in cars because I'm like, where's this coming from?
Yeah.
And it was B2K.
Yeah.
So I jumped swimming pool fence at Hampton Inn. I'm looking in cars. A couple people told me to get moving on, asked me what I was doing. So I'm like, man, I didn't know what it was. So I'm really freaking out. So I'm starting to walk down towards Waffle House, and I'll never forget this. My head starts heating up very hot. I notice if I'm on the sidewalk, it's the worst. If I'm on the grass, it kind of eases off again a little bit. But if I'm on the road where the cars are, it's and I'm dizzy and my vision's blurred from the attacks. I find myself walking up the road just to not feel the attacks, but my vision was still blurry from the attacks. I'm walking in the middle of the main road. I'm not walking in the middle, but I'm walking, you know how close it is.
Yeah.
This police officer pulls up to me, and he's got a gun on me, and I swear this happened. He's like, David, why are you rocking? I said, because when I rock, my head stops burning. It felt like an egg frying. My vision was blurry because when I rock back and forth, it seems like it lessens up a little bit. And then he calls on the radio, and he asked this nurse, he said, what's his vitals? I swear. And they gave the vitals remotely. The stuff freaked me out.
Yep.
And people will never believe that story, but I don't care.
Well, they have your bio data, and it's on the cloud, and they can read it right now if they want to.
Yeah. And she's like, it's working. His vitals are such and such. I forgot what they said. So anyway, they ended up taking me to a mental hospital. I stayed there 2 weeks. For 2 months after that, I needed glasses. I guess when you get hit sometimes so hard, it'll make your vision messed up. But for 2 months, I couldn't read nothing without any glasses.
Yeah.
So 2 months later, my vision corrected. I don't need glasses anymore. Anyway, so I'm running from place to place after that, and I'm going to fast forward it. Oh, yeah. So my wife, I get back with her. I hear somebody in the basement. I call the police. So the police come over. They go down to the basement. I hear them talking to somebody. They come up and tell me, David, there's nobody in the basement. We think you need to go for the night to the county so we can get you in a place. What do you call it? Mental place. So I go to the county and end up just getting dropped off. They didn't take me to jail. They took me out of the county and dropped me off with no ride or nothing. And I'm trying to think what happened. It's so cloudy with so much trauma. So in 2018, that was in 2015, I ended up, let's see, man, I'm trying to think. Oh yeah, she invites me is that street theater?
Yes. Yep.
I'm not worried about it. I'm trying not to worry about it. Oh, okay. So I'm just going to fast forward to a different part because the story is just really too long. 2018, I was in a halfway house in Alabama, and I start hearing them I go to a trailer plant, I start working, everything's fine. About a week later, I start noticing everybody's whispering, talking about me. It's like whatever smear campaign they were doing has
Yeah.
hit. When I go to the parking lot to wait on the people from the halfway house, I'm getting circled by these foreign dudes in BMWs. They're circling me, circling like sharks. So I freaked out and never went back to work. I left the halfway house and I got a bus to Tampa, Florida. Being taken in mind, I'm hearing people, my V2K is going on, and I get this email saying, a text message from my wife. It's James Harkins' community policing video. The first one he did, it was excellent. She said, I did this to you. So I listened to it. So then after I listened to it, I go to take a screenshot of the text. It's disappeared. The text is gone. But that's how I learned about gang stalking.
Yeah.
And like, no wonder they look at me because it says when you go to a community, you're blacklisted. And that's how I am. And
Yep.
went to Pensacola, Florida. I was there for like a month. Nobody helped me ever now. I was walking across the 3-mile bridge just to see the ocean the last time because I thought they were going to kill me. And this woman from Massachusetts tags pulled over, handed me like $50 to $100 and said, looks like you're having a bad day. I would have to go in Dollar General and get a candy bar. Every now and then, there's this place that feeds the homeless in public, and they would help me. But like these homeless shelters and stuff wouldn't take me. Nobody would give me clothes. They would electronically, believe it or not, make me pee myself.
Yep.
And then I didn't have no clothes to change. So I made videos back then. Every time I'd start making videos, they would hack my YouTube. So anyway, talking about blacklisting, everywhere I went, I was blacklisted. I would walk in McDonald's or somewhere to get a drink. Any woman or any family that had kids would immediately rush out, really like it was some kind of drastic when I was going in there. I would go in and they would rush out like something was about to happen to me. I mean, this stuff freaked me out. I ended up dealing with that in Fort Myers, Fort Lauderdale. Then I had these people pretending like targets who would call me and say, David, I'm going to give you a place to stay. I would go out of my way to find my way there, only to stay one night and then get called a perp and kicked out. You see?
Yeah.
So 2018 was a rough time in the TI community for me because, when you're new to the TI community, a lot of people are suspicious of you. I start making videos out of nowhere talking about my targeting. There's rumors flying around about me and all that. I survived that smear campaign, thank God. And also another word of advice, if you're a new target going through a smear campaign, be you, keep doing what you're doing, keep speaking out. Your character will speak for itself. Don't worry about that because when you're a new target, a lot of new targets have it rough coming in the TI community because you're a perp, and I'm glad I made it through that.
That's great advice. So really in 2018, when you saw Jay's video is really when you started realizing that you had been targeted.
Right.
Okay. So 2018, and then you looked back and said, "Oh, I've been a target for a really long time." It's,
Right.
because you can relate the experience once you know what a targeted individual looks like. Then you can go back to the past and be like, that's what that was.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I put it all together. And I wish I'd have had that text message. But like I said, when I went to screenshot it after I watched the video, the text message disappeared. But it was from my wife, my handler. She said, this is what I did to you. Like, I put you in this program, And then I started researching, looking at all these videos and stuff. And so anyway, I was in 12 states in 6 months in 2018. Moving does not help. It just runs your resources out, waste them.
Yep.
Yeah, and then they would burn my phones up. I would get a phone and, I watched my phone. I had my phone charged. I was so happy I was home. I watched it go from 99, 98, 97, 96. They drained it all the way down. And it was so drained it wouldn't even charge. I had to get a new phone. Now, I was in New Orleans at the Rebuild Center. They give shoes out every Thursday. So I went to him. I said, can I get some shoes? And he whispered in my ear. He said, look, come back. When nobody's around, I'm not allowed to give you no shoes. I came back and he's like, here's a brand new pair of New Balance. I was so happy. I'm homeless. A brand new pair of new. He's like, don't tell nobody I give you these. You can't tell nobody.
Yeah.
And I was so happy to get the shoes. If I had it to do over again, I would have been like, well, what are they saying about me? Can you tell me? I promise I won't tell nobody,
Yep. Yep.
But that man was nice enough to give me a pair of shoes. So I really think there's some people they try to get to do stuff that's just too good-hearted. They're
Yep.
few and far between, but yeah.
Yep. I
I'll tell
agree
you
with
this
you.
story. This girl says, "All right, I'm jumping trains at this point, trying to get away because I'm homeless. Well, I might as well try everything." That's back when the batteries in your phone came out. I'm jumping trains with my batteries out of my battery out of my phone. So they're still knowing where I'm at. As soon as I get off, I jump the train from Atlanta to Shreveport, and as soon as I get off, they know where I'm at. This girl starts talking to me, and she says, "Oh, I'm a target individual. I want to help you and all that." So I fell for it. Ended up going back with her. She picked me up in Louisiana, went back to her and her uncle's house, supposedly. So after about a month there, she does house cleaning and stuff is what she was doing. So I was helping her clean house. We were splitting it. We were paying her uncle money to stay there. Then we were giving food stamps to him. So anyway, she comes to me one day and she said, "David, he's been touching me behind your back and all this." So I'm upset because I'm like, "Oh, really?" I said, "I've
Mm-hmm.
nothing to lose. I'm a TI anyway. I'm gonna go hurt him." She's like, "No, no, no, don't do that. Don't do that." She's like, "Do you have anybody we could stay with if we could get there?" I said, "California." She said, "Well, I'm going to take his car tonight. You can come with me." Well, I was dumb. If I had to do over again, I wouldn't, but I felt justified. I'm like, well, this dude's a chomo. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah.
Road with her. We break down in Louisiana. And so I'm like, well, our only hope's to jump a train. We're trying to make it to California to Lynette Castle. If you look up Lynette Castle, she was murdered. She's a TI who was murdered, and it's on Google too. She was a TI who was murdered in 2019, 2020, I think in May. And she was posting her gang stalker's picture everywhere and ended up getting murdered by him. They found him. They found her unalived by him. They found her in a box. Yeah.
Disgusting.
So what she had learned to do, they taught, and I have the last letter. I wish I'd have brought it with me today, but I have the last letter she wrote me. They taught her to play piano in her sleep. They taught her to paint overnight. So she was selling her paintings by the ferry to get by as target, and she was a very good painter. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so anyway, she ended up dying, but I talked to her every day for 2 years. Every time I talked to her, they would shock my teeth real bad. They would go in her phone and block me from calling. So what we learned to do was I would get on Messenger and message her on Facebook Messenger, tell her to unblock me from her phone. And that's how we talked every day.
Yeah. It's because they don't want you to have a community, right? Because
Yeah, no
isolation
friend.
is, isolation's part of the program. And so there is comfort in talking to other, TIs.
Very much so. If you can find
Yeah.
real PIs, yes. Matter of
Yeah.
fact, Gerald Sosby was trying to help me out in Lakeland, Florida. I was on Facebook Live. He saw two people following me looking real mean. He was trying to help me out. They wiped his whole Facebook clean and deleted his whole Facebook. And if you go to the Ramola D Gerald Sosby interview, somewhere in the 40 to 50-minute range, you'll hear him say that about me. I'm really highly targeted. So anyway, to make a long story short, what happened when that girl done that, I was lost. When the car breaks down, I'm like, we need to go in the woods and wait and come out because we were in Livonia, Louisiana. That's a small town. Or small parish. I don't know what parish it was. I think St. Martin or Iberville. It's a small place. So we went in the woods to wait, and we were going to try to catch a train at night. We were trying to get to Lynette's place. She had a houseboat she was going to give us. She drops the phone in the water. We lose our GPS. We're lost in the swamp for 30 days. I'm not lying.
Oh, yeah.
Sleeping on the floor of the ground. I mean, the ground and everything. There's gators everywhere. Anyway, there's camps. There's hunting camps way off in the woods. There's nothing but generators. Of course, I would tell her, look, wait out here, wait way off. And I would go in these camps and get food. I went to get food at this other camp. We had found our way out of the woods. The road was right there. I went to get food. I came back. She had went and lied and said I raped and kidnapped her. And if you look this up on Google, you can see the story. And it tells that she falsely said this.
Yeah.
So I didn't know this. I get back to my stuff. She's gone. There's people in the woods talking, and I hear them talking about, I don't know where he is. I jump down the riverbank. This dude comes with a pew-pew strapped around his neck down the riverbank, and I'm behind the bushes, and he stops up the river from me, and then he follows my footprints. He said, yeah, I see his footprints. He pulls right in front of me. He's pointing the pew-pew at me. So what do? I had a pew-pew. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. And then I got see that that's
Yeah. I see
great.
it.
Yeah. So I wake up in the hospital 2 days later and because it split me like that. And I had
Yeah.
I had a bottle of alcohol, some whiskey that I had got from my camp, and I downed the whole bottle so I woke up 2 days later. So they said, David, can you tell us about this kidnapping and this sexual assault? I said, what? I ain't got to do that. Who said that? So they told me, and I was like, well, look, the train police caught us on the train. Why didn't she say something then? I said, I'm going to tell the truth. I did pew at that man, but he
Yeah.
pointed at me. I said, please look into this. So they looked into it. They found out she was lying. I did 4 years of my life, which ended up getting dropped down to assault with a pew, but it was attempted second-degree unaliving. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I waited 4 years. COVID hit, so I'm in St. Landry Parish prison for 4 years waiting on a court date to get out. All over a lie. And she lied to say she wanted to get her family back. Well, I'm sure her family don't know what she told me about what he did to her, you know?
Right. Right.
And so anyway, so I get out and I'm out maybe a couple months. My mom starts perping me and then she kicked me out. That's a story in itself. I don't know if we got time for that, do we?
Yeah. So your mom, basically, you lived with her and then she betrayed you.
Yeah, and I'm gonna tell you what she did. So she's talking to me every week in jail, and she'll send me books or whatever. So when I get there, she picks me up. She starts saying, David, you got to get out of the house. I ended up being agoraphobic, and I haven't left this house in 2 years where I'm at right now. Now,
Yeah.
I don't recommend that for targets, but I freak out around people now. I'm
Yeah.
traumatized so bad. I don't want to leave the house because I'm scared. For one, I have panic attacks really bad when I leave the house. For two, I do not want to engage none of this. You know what I'm saying? I'm tired of
Yeah.
it. It's like the
So
top
what
line.
year did they release you? They didn't obviously keep you for the full 4
2022.
years.
Yeah, 2022.
Oh, okay.
2018 to 2022, yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Because COVID hit and they're so backed up in the court system, that was the first time I'd been to court.
Yeah.
So anyway, so she's like, David, they're going to be people, they're going to kidnap you. And if you go to my YouTube channel at the first videos, it's got my mom recorded saying this. And it's even got the one where my mom says, David, if you don't come up with money, I'm going to have you institutionalized. Well, needless to say, my mom found out I was recording all this. She takes me to Walmart, which she knows I hate Walmart. Every target individual should hate Walmart.
Yep, we do. I do.
Yeah. So she takes me to Walmart and she said, I'm going to get a necklace today, David. She's like, we're going to Walmart today because she found out I had everything on recording. So she had blackmailed me. I got it on recording about not getting money from my dad for rent or whatever because she said I could stay there. I had a job. My stepdad supposedly was getting me a job. I was going to try to break my agoraphobic when I got that job. Needless to say, the day after my birthday, she takes me to Walmart, says we're going to get a necklace. She goes in the bathroom. Me and my stepdad standing outside the bathroom for 40 minutes. He says, I don't know what she's doing. She comes out and says, it's time to go now. She just wanted to freak me out, you see? So then she gets to the car. It's in August. I'm burning up. She calls the police and says, David's threatening me. I think he needs to be in a mental place. So the police come out. I show them the video, which is on my YouTube channel, of her blackmailing me. So they're like, well, you can't go back to the house. So that's when my journey started on YouTube. I ended up under a bridge. I started YouTube video under the bridge, documenting stuff. Make a long story short, I ended up jumping to Pensacola. I went from Pensacola to Pensacola to Nashville on the airplane because I got my stimulus checks that I missed when I was in jail.
Okay.
So using that all to travel and move around and stay away from all these people. So when I went to Colorado, I booked another plane to Memphis to stay at this homeless shelter because I'm like, man, I'm tapped out. So I'm getting stalked at the airport. All of a sudden, I start getting heated up and my legs start getting very heavy. I'm on the phone with another target. I fall out. I wake up in the hospital. I stayed there for 45 days. I had a catheter because, these weapons will block some men. They'll block you from peeing. I had a catheter for 40 days. They gave me Flomax. They kept taking it out saying, well, David, if you don't use the bathroom, they would straight cath me all day. And then if it didn't happen, they would put it in for a few more days. Talking about miserable. So then traverse mellitus. They went in my spine twice saying they were taking fluid. Then they said they were putting fluid in to do a CAT scan. I was terrified. Then what terrified me even more, the dude's in my spine 20 minutes. And I asked the dude that's supervising him, I said, why you been in here? You told me it was only going to be 10 minutes. And he's like, hold on, I'll take over. That's a student. I'm like, you had a student in my spine? Oh, yeah, we do it all the time because it was a university hospital.
No.
So I'm fixing to get out So I'm doing YouTube videos, and you'll see some of my videos in a account because I'm like, you know what? I'm going to do YouTube videos because if I'd have known all this, it would have saved me from cutting my throat. It would have saved me from cutting my wrist.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? If I'd have known all
Yes.
this, I would have been a lot
Yes.
better off. And my life might have been different. But I wouldn't, if I had it to do over again, I wouldn't change nothing because I wouldn't have met Holly. She's a TI.
Yeah.
So, you know, I was to the point where I was already planning on, and I told the hospital, I'm going to roll my wheelchair out in front of traffic and I'm going to die.
Yeah.
And they said, David, you're not going to do that. I was like, when you let me out homeless, I'm going to show you. Well, Holly had reached out to me through a YouTube video, and I thought she was a perp, you know, and I told her that. Well, she started showing me her burns and stuff, and I'm like, wow. So she got me set up at her friend's house, and I went to her friend's house. Her friend did not understand that I'm agoraphobic. I didn't like going places. She thought I was going to go places with her and all that. So anyway, we ended up getting into it. Holly's like, well, let me talk to my stepdad to see if he can let you move in. Needless to say, I got to move in. We were not together at first. We ended up just falling in love. It was not intentional. It was just friends at first.
Yeah.
It was like Mr. and Mrs. Smith the first year here. We were suspicious of each other. We thought each other were agents.
Yep.
You know, thing. A lot of targets. If you'd have told me when I was homeless, David, you're going to find a girl and everything's going to smooth out and your life's going to get a little bit better. Because I'm still tortured with weapons. I experience V2K 24/7.
Yep.
And I'm still get the street theater on perps on the phone. And Holly gets hit with radiation really bad. She gets all that. Her story is horrible too. But yeah, so that's another thing I got. So many targets are so sensitized to everything. They think it's impossible to find a friend or a girlfriend. There's glitches in the matrix, I'm telling you. Because I 9 years dealing with all this, didn't have a friend in the world, smear campaigns, blacklisted, and I found her, you know? So
yeah. So there's hope. You want to give, our other TIs hope. I agree. Well, you're a targeted survivor, and the reason I'm calling you that is because you took what they wanted you to be. Because sometimes TIs remain in the victim role instead of stepping out like you did and start recording stuff and putting it on YouTube. You became a survivor at that point.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Because you're helping other people, you're educating them, you're not sitting complaining about everything that they're doing to you, you're pushing through it and being like, hey, listen up, this is not normal and this is the reason why. And now all of these other people are starting to have the courage to speak about their experience, because some of it is embarrassing for us, right? But then there has to be like a point where you're like, I don't give a shit anymore. Let's just not deal with the bullshit that these, elites are doing to us, basically, or Illuminati, whoever, and then get it out to the public, because obviously we know the cops programs are part of it, you know?
Right. And either way, you're going to be targeted. If you're a real TI, you're going to be tortured either way. So you might as well speak out.
Yes, that's my feeling.
Now, going on, I used to go on Facebook and Twitter, and I stopped that because I felt like I'm giving them satisfaction of knowing that they're bothering me. So I'm not even going to do that no more, you know?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. I've watched some of your videos and they're good. They're informational. That's how I found you and David Edwards.
Yeah, I really hope you can get him on the show. He's doing a documentary for TIs.
Yeah, I hope I can get him on here too. He knows what's going on, and he also knows how to record some of the radio waves that he was talking to you about on one of your videos, I think.
Yeah, he's learned how to get the V2K and record some of it. Now, I'm not really computer savvy like that, or I would try it, but you know, I might try it one day though. But yeah, he says he can do that. I've heard some stuff, and it sounded like people talking. So yeah, I'm pretty sure he can. And he works with Amy's Audios too. He's real good friends with Amy's Audios. I don't know if you know her.
I don't know if her yet.
She finds chips in people, scans people for chips.
I do know. My friend Igor mentioned her. Yeah.
But yeah, that's my story. And like I said, the reason I encourage every TI to speak out, because there's a lot of TIs who might find that video and it might save their life. Because if I'd have had that, it would have saved me from a lot of attempts on my life and a lot of trouble.
Yeah, I agree. I think the more information that people have, the better. And then not every TI story is the same. but there are consistencies, you know.
Right.
Yeah.
And I tell TIs that not every TI's stories is going to be extreme as mine, but
Yeah.
they target people differently to keep us all confused. That way we're quick. Well, he's not, he didn't experience that. He's not real, and that's drama too. Another thing I had to get myself from is sensitization. Everybody that wears black and red are not perps, and you got to learn to read through that sensitization and know what's what, because
Yeah.
license plates, all that. Yeah.
Yeah. This could be a trigger for you, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, not me, but my smiley faces in text is mine. Because they used to say, "This is your last day, you better enjoy it," and they'd put a big smiley face. They would do it all the time when I was walking around homeless. But I have had people call me a perk for wearing red on my YouTube channel, and I tell them, look, if you think I'm a perk, so be it. You got to get over the sensitization.
Yeah, because that's what it is initially. I watched one guy on YouTube, Iceman, or Here Comes the Iceman or something, and his sensitization campaign was horse trailers, bikes on cars, the color red. And so each one is different. Mine is more like mufflers, really loud mufflers, car honks, leaf blowers, where you'll have like 4 guys with the leaf blowers, and you're like, do you seriously need 4 leaf blowers?
Right.
No.
Well, I remember U-Hauls used to be mine too, because, my V2K kept telling me I was going to be unalived and took. So U-Hauls, every time I seen a U-Haul trailer on a truck, I'd make sure I got way away from that.
Yeah. So any other advice that you can give to any TIs or,
Know that it's a fear-based program. If you experience V2K like I do, it's all lies. Well, sometimes they might interrogate you and play good cop, bad cop, but it's all BS to make you fear. And also, don't react. Try not to react to the gang stalking. Don't let them, because I feel like your reaction is just a thing for the remote neural monitoring system to help further, because they're trying to create a cognitive model of your brain, is what I really think.
Yes.
Through brain entrainment. So try not to react and give that reaction that they want.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's great advice.
And instead of waiting on these lawsuits to save the day, just find out how to deal with stuff on your own, like multitasking. And multitasking helps me when I'm experiencing VTK. Hand pan music, awesome. Hand pan, control breathing in your nose, out your mouth with your, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. So the military, the Navy SEALs do it. They do what's called box breathing. So my therapist, taught me some box breathing techniques. So I agree with you. Keep yourself busy. Meditation.
We get crazy tonight as Holly gets it worse than me. Hand pan music. It's called hand pan music. And Multi Martin on YouTube, he's a good one for hand pan music. And it'll take the tinnitus away for the moment.
Yeah. And that is part of it, because that's part of the Havana syndrome. And I don't have it as much anymore. It depends on what location that I'm at when the ringing starts in my ears.
Did you ever get a fluttering in your ear, like against your eardrum? Yeah.
Or a little click. Sometimes if I'm, doing what they want me to do or not want me to do, it'll click.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the last 2 years, since I got out of the hospital, what they'll do is they'll heat me up. I'll sweat profusely. When I close my eyes, whether it's to take a nap, they have my body programmed. When I close my eyes, whether it's to take a nap or whatever, my body will start getting shocks to the brain. My whole body will start vibrating, and I'll start getting heated up. So I got a migraine ice cap. I got 2 or 3 of them in the refrigerator, and I have to sleep with one of them on me, because every time I close my eyes, I start getting vibrated and shocked.
Yeah.
Weird.
Unless you wet your head. One of my friends is a transportation specialist. He drives a truck, and he has to wet his head. Even though he's traveling, depending on where he's at, he'll put water on his head and a swimming cap.
Yeah, because a lot of TIs too experience a lot of static too.
Yep.
Yeah, but that's pretty much all I got.
Well, hopefully this will help some other TIs turn into TSs, targeted survivors, so that they can come out and tell their stories too. But I am grateful for you coming on my show and telling people your story, so that they understand that they're not alone, and hopefully we can help more people.
Right. Thank you. And I'm not gonna mirror it. I'm gonna share it, on my channel. That's
Yeah,
up to you.
absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
And
And
I
stay
hope you get a lot
strong.
of viewers too. Because
Ye-
I've seen your interviews and they're great. I like the way you go about your structure and stuff.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah. Well, I appreciate you. I hope you stay strong and Holly stays strong and you guys keep your light. Don't let people take your light from you.
Amen. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Take care.
Thank you for listening to the Unveiling Shadows podcast. I hope today's episode has shed light on the experiences that too often remain hidden. If you or someone you know has a story to share, please reach out to me. Remember, you're not alone and your voice matters. Follow me on social media and subscribe to the podcast for more inspiring stories. Until next time, stay strong and keep unveiling the shadows.